Hello YouTubers, I want to welcome you to another edition of Park and Bin Gear, and I hope you've been enjoying your holidays. Okay, now in this episode we're gonna talk about one of the most famous rock amps in the world, right? The Marshall tube amplifier. And usually when people think of Marshall, they think of, you know, kind of the rock tone, right? Kind of breaking up, kind of distorted things. I mean, everything from, you know, AC/DC comes to mind. They're a heavy Marshall user. Back to Led Zeppelin, on, just countless bands. And then a lot of the metal bands, you know, Judas Priest and so on and so on. However, keep in mind that back in the Led Zeppelin days, don't forget, you know, Jimmy Page was playing a lot of the, at least live, you know, Stairway to Heaven was done with a Marshall amplifier, live anyway. I'm not sure in the studio, who knows. In any case, so recently here, I'd gotten hold of a Marshall combo amplifier, the Marshall DSL-40 combo amp. It's a 40-watt combo amplifier with a 12-inch speaker, built-in effects loop, built-in reverb, has a clean, a crunch, distortion, kind of a extreme channel, extreme distortion. And it's an all-tube combo amplifier, and in fact it's one of the most popular combo tube amps at the moment. And we can take a look at it here. Okay, now here's the Marshall DSL-40C. And it's actually a 2-channel amp, but each channel has 2 modes. So it really has basically almost 4 channels, right? Including a digital reverb, 40 watts of power. There are 2 EL34 tubes, as well as 4 basically preamp tubes, the equivalent of a 12AX7. Okay, 3-band EQ. Now has a presence knob as well, and a, what do they call it? A resonance knob, which is like the deep switch of the old Marshall amps. Okay, and it's a little smaller than the DSL 100 watt, you know, it's 40 watt. Oh, and it can be turned down to the 20 watt mode. I've never actually done that. But anyway, it's a good looking amp. And pretty darn heavy too. Alright, now here's the back of the amp. And it's actually quite straightforward. I mean, you've got speaker outputs, you have an effects loop, and then where you can turn the channel, or I'm sorry, the power from 40 to 20 watts. You know, and a foot switch jack as well. And really, that's about it. However, take a look at what's behind that screen there. Kind of hard to see, but there's a big old heavy-duty Hellatone speaker, and that does not come stock. That's a replacement speaker. I replaced a 7080 Celestion speaker. So this is the Helitone. Much bigger, heavier duty speaker. And you can see it here. I'll try to bring it up, but there's just not much you can do with the grill to see it. But there it is anyway. Helitone. Okay. I mentioned the Marshall DSL-40 combo amp that we have here. The stock speaker has been replaced with a Helitone speaker, right, which is a really high quality speaker in comparison to the usual, at least with this amplifier, the Celestion 7080 speaker. Right. Now, here's the big question for me. Can you get a nice clean tone out of a Marshall amp? It's certainly not known for its clean tones, but who knows? It could be wrong. So let's find out, and we'll give it a listen here. Alright, now here's just the straight into the Marshall clean channel. Okay. If you add a reverb to that, and this is from the Plethora X5. To play it in stereo, and so on the other channel, on the other side, if you like, I'm going to just plug in my little Fender Super Champ X2. That's a lot smaller than the Marshall, but let's see what that gives us. sound, I think. So it has a really nice tone. Okay, now here are my overall thoughts on the Marshall. One, it's a really good looking amp. For sure, it's unmistakable, it's a Marshall combo amp. And it's kind of oversized, especially for a single 12-inch speaker. It's almost as if you could fit two speakers in the cabinet. Now, with the one I have, again, has a Helitone speaker, a little heavier than the stock speaker. As a result, I found the Marshall DSL 40C quite heavy in comparison to something like a Deluxe Reverb or a PV Classic 30. And the PV Classic 30 is much smaller, you know, in size. But I did find the Marshall's a little bit on the heavy side. And size-wise reminds me very much of a Black Star HT Club 40, except heavier. Now, here's the other thing. I found that it is capable of a really, really nice clean sound, which is quite unusual. It's a big kind of full sound. However, I did find that it is kind of a dark sounding amp, right? Even on the clean channel, and this may be due to the Helotone speaker, but it's kind of a dark sound, you know, whereas I would say a lot of Fenders are a lot brighter, you know, but it's still a really nice clean sound. And to me, to my ears, it sounds kind of in between a PV Classic 30 and a Fender, you know, like blackface style amp, like a Princeton or a Deluxe Reverb and so on. Kind of right in the middle there. You know, it's not super chimey, but it's not super flat either. You know, it's kind of right in the middle. And again, it's kind of a dark sound. These are super reliable amps, you know, the Marshalls. And yeah, I think overall, I mean, I had a good experience with it. I found the EQ responsive. I didn't think the reverb was bad at all. You know, and most of the time I just kept it at 5, neutral, you know. Yeah, just nothing bad to say about it. In fact, I'm quite impressed that you can get a clean sound, a decent clean sound out of the Marshall, right? Which is kind of a surprise because I would have thought that, you know, Marshall, being known for its overdrive tones, would spend all of its engineering, you know, on the crunch and distorted channels. But that's not the case. It also has a really nice clean channel, you know, and with enough headroom, right? Especially since you have a gain and a volume on the clean channel itself, besides the 3-band EQ on there. And to be quite frank, you could probably, with the presence knob and so on, get some different variations of the clean sound, you know. Yeah, I was really quite impressed with this amp, to tell you the truth. And it's reasonably priced, you know, which is probably why it's one of the most popular tube amps around. So if you're looking for an amp with a good clean channel, don't dismiss the Marshalls, right? Which normally people do because it's known, you know, for its gain channels. But in reality, it can also do a really great clean sound. So if you run into one, I definitely recommend that you try it. Alright, very good. See you next time. Okay, bye.